TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast, with your hosts, Connor O'Neill and Matthew Hughes.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Nerdy Misfit Podcast.
Hello.
And it's a special one today.
For multiple reasons.
Multiple reasons, yeah, exactly.
Multiple. That's awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah, so it's actually 2 years of when this podcast goes live of the Nerdy Misfit Podcast. So that means two full years.
Yeah, 2 full years, 104 episodes.
Yeah, every day posting. Woo. Or every week posting
every Wednesday
so that's
posting an episode.
Pretty impressive. If you know us, then I would be surprised.
I have commitment issues.
That's good.
So.
That's consistent, if nothing else. Just 52 straight episodes every year.
Speaking of consistent, we have a guest, actually our first guest in a while.
Yeah.
Hi.
First guest of season 2.
First guest of season 2. And we'll have him introduce himself, and if you don't know who he is, he'll let you know.
Hi everybody. I'm Tekking101. I have a YouTube channel called Tekking101 where I talk about the very popular, it's a little bit underground manga anime called One Piece. Mm-hmm. But it's only been around for like a quarter of a century. It makes sense if you haven't heard of it. But I've talked about some other stuff on there, Bleach, My Hero Academia, and all that stuff. And I've been doing it for, this will be 15 years I've been on YouTube this June. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just checking when your longest video for years, and I assume that's what's posted as well. I mean, I'm sure you have some.
Yes, that one is that's the first video I ever did on the channel. I think May 29th, 2009 is when that one went up. Yeah.
15 years. High school student.
16. Just got my braces on.
Nice.
Those were magical times.
Yeah. So, if you're a listener of the podcast, obviously One Piece is not something new. We've definitely dabbled in discussions about it. Definitely a very popular series. We try to avoid it. So we'll try and avoid it as much as possible today. As much as we would love to
we can talk about Bleach. Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Matt's never seen Bleach.
I've never seen Bleach. That's it's one of the big 3 I haven't seen yet.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you should check it out, man.
It's on the list eventually,
Yeah.
So many things. So many anime.
Yeah. Oh, you want to talk about the list? I have I have a list of stuff.
All right, so I guess the first question, which we should just get out of the way, is what's Tekking101? Where does Tekking101 come from?
Oh, like the actual name Tekking101?
Yeah.
Okay, I was actually funny you brought that up because I was in a sports bar with my friend a couple weeks ago, and I've known this guy my half my life, and he asked me where did it come from, like he didn't know. So remember that show Zoe 101 on Nickelodeon back in like 2005?
Yep.
That's basically where the entire thing comes from. That's where the 101 comes from. But there was a specific episode of that show where they get like these cell phones and they're called Tech Mates, and Tech is spelled T-E-K. And I was like 12 and I'm like, I like the show. I want to go on the forums and talk about it because this was like before social media really was huge. And I had to come up with a username, and I'm like, that was from the show. So Tekking, Tech Mate, and I went Tekking101. That's where it came from. And then like 3 years later, I started the channel, and I just decided to use it because
you
it's
just
a
roll
fun
with
little
it.
Word that I just invented. It's fine. Yeah,
That's great. I think it's priceless.
It has nothing to do with Tekken, and it has nothing to do with me knowing anything about technology. It's just that's the origin.
I think that's what Matt thought.
Yeah, 100%. I saw that. I was like, oh, must be a big fan of the game Tekken or something like that. But
I've played it like twice.
Oh, perfect.
not a fighting game fan.
Couldn't even name one of the characters.
I don't think I could either.
I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
I know some Street Fighter characters and some Mortal Kombat characters. Not a lot of Tekken.
Yeah, Mortal
characters.
Kombat. Injustice is something we played a lot of.
Yeah,
which is obviously superheroes.
I have played that once, and I loved it though, and I never got around to playing it again. But I was at a friend's place, and we played it on like the PS4 or something, and it was really fun.
Easier to remember those characters. They're more fun to you're
Batman,
playing characters you
Superman,
like.
The usual,
Yeah.
So, question for you: what interest do you have outside of just the One Piece, Bleach?
The manga, the anime.
Manga verse.
Oh, outside of manga, outside of my job. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am a really big fan of studying history, particularly like ancient history. Like Egypt is probably like my favorite area there. But like Rome and Norse mythology, anything involving that is something I'm into. Learning how to play the piano a little bit. I have a keyboard upstairs. Hang out with my friends and play D&D every Friday. That's a huge thing. That permeates into YouTube and stuff as well, because I am part of the One Piece D&D and Isekai D&D that Rustage runs on Twitch. But I have my own campaign that I run with my friends, and so those are just some of my hobbies.
Oh, sick.
Love to cook. Cooking's fun.
Yeah, cooking's great. I actually just cooked a brisket this weekend
Ooh, I love brisket.
for my first time.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
How did that go, by the way? Because you sent me the one picture. But
it was pretty good. I started at like 11 p.m. on Saturday night, and it went through. I think the total cook time was something like 14 hours. If you include resting, it was like probably like 15 or 16. But it turned out pretty good for the first ever brisket. I thought it was acceptable. I'm not going to go to Texas and like give it to anyone down there, but
Oh yeah, no, you'll get destroyed there. But like the best kind of food is the kind of stuff you have to prepare for like 12 hours in advance. This is gonna be good.
yeah, we had our grandparents over, and they've never had brisket, and they thought it was good.
that's all that matters. As long as they thought it was good.
Yeah,
then
they don't
first
know.
brisket's
They don't,
successful.
they don't know
You
better.
please the people you were making the food for, so that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, and it was like kind of like, Texas barbecue-esque. We had like potato salad,
Oh, cool.
cornbread, and had something else.
Fucking love cornbread.
Oh, the cornbread was
Cornbread's
good.
amazing.
We had some
Cornbread's
honey butter
great.
too with it. It was fire.
Oh, that's honey butter. Yeah, now you're making me hungry. I just ate and I'm getting hungry. Yeah.
Yeah, cooking's definitely one of my big passions. I definitely enjoy it. It's very like relaxing and fun.
It is. And it's easier to get into than like after I quit my job, like my day job, I was like, I have some more free time. I'm going to start cooking. And it was like daunting at first, but it's like, no, you just follow the instructions and you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. I don't.
Easy peasy.
Pick it up as you go.
It's
but,
not.
like,
It's
yeah.
not as complicated and scary as people make it look. It
No.
high skill ceiling, but easy starting level.
Absolutely.
All right. So I guess we'll get into more your career as a whole on YouTube. So I guess you have a manga/anime YouTube channel. So I guess we should ask, how did you get into anime and manga?
I watched Cartoon Network and Fox Kids in the early 2000s and late 90s. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Probably the first one I ever watched was, I want to say probably like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. Pokemon was first. It would have been Pokemon or Dragon Ball, one of the two. Didn't even really know they were anime at the time because I'm a little kid. I'm not thinking like, what country does this come from?
Yeah, what
I'm
origin?
just like, yeah, this is like, oh, this is really cool. It's Pokemon, right? Didn't know that it was anime until later. Probably the first one that I watched that I was like, I was aware this is anime was probably Naruto, and that came out in 2005 here in the States. And then 4Kids One Piece was also going on around that time. So, and people make fun of the 4Kids stuff, but it got me into One Piece.
Hey, that's where it all began.
There's part of it's that's just great.
Yeah, we're definitely with you there. We're part of that kind of generation that grew up with 4Kids, and yeah, you can make fun of the dubs all you want, but a whole generation is influenced by those dubs to enjoying anime
And
as
the
it is
4Kids
now.
opening
And the
of
openings,
One Piece
for sure.
is
Yes,
just a banger.
I think it was popular to crap on the opening for the longest time because it's a dumb like rap that doesn't fit the theme of the series, but that rap was awesome. It was catchy. It was.
I mean, I belt out the Tokyo Mew Mew opening all the time.
Yep.
So yeah.
So that's kind of where it started. Manga, I remember more vividly. I was at this is back when Shonen Jump was sold in American stores on like the magazine rack way back in the day. And I was in Walmart one day, and my mom was going to a clothing store, and I was just like, I don't want to just sit in a clothing store. Can I buy something? And she's like, yeah. So here's a magazine. It had it was the last chapter of Dragon Ball Z, the one where Trunk goes back to the future, and then he not the end of the Buu saga, but the end of the Cell saga. And I bought that, and I was reading it, and it took me a while to get it because it was backwards and it was all black and white. But I was like, yeah, this is good. There was a chapter of Yu-Gi-Oh in there, and I was like, yeah, this is fantastic. So that's where I got into that.
That's crazy, an actual Shonen Jump. I remember as a kid playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I remember there being like the exclusive cards that came in Jump
in the magazine.
And I remember just always asking my parents, like, we need to get this magazine. There's this card that you can only get from the magazine, and we need it. We never got it. We had Nintendo Power.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. I never had Nintendo Power. I had a Super Nintendo growing up, but that whole era was a little bit before me. But I remember every Tuesday Shonen Jump came out. And going to get that, and then like going to like get my hair cut or something, and I'd be reading that in the hair salon or whatever. Like I remember that.
That's amazing. So yeah, that's pretty unique take. I don't think there's many people I've met that have actually read like the English Jump
Yeah, I don't think so either.
magazine when it was coming out.
They discontinued it. I remember they went online in like 2012 or 2013 or something like that. And so I have some of the ones I originally had when I was a kid, but like I threw a lot of them away or gave them away or something. So they're kind of valuable.
And then obviously Bleach must have been a standout for you, but either the anime and then obviously the manga, because that's kind of, I think, where you started to take off on YouTube or finding your place, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Bleach came a little bit later. I started watching that, I think, in '07. I was just starting high school. Probably around the same time I was watching the original, like, Full Metal Alchemist. All that stuff would be on Toonami at, like, 11 o'clock at night, midnight. And, yeah, I started YouTube in '09, I didn't even talk about anime at first. It was, like, a video game called Medieval for the PlayStation.
Yep, saw those.
And, that was my thing for the first 2 years, because I was trying to be like the angry video game nerd, basically.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, that's how you get big on YouTube, except I was 16 and I had this really squeaky voice that cracked, and it was not the same
Didn't have the same impact, yeah.
Not the same effect when he yells profanities and a 16-year-old with squeaky voice yells profanities. So, after it was the week I graduated high school, though, like that same week, I was bored and I had nothing else going on, and I was like, you know what? I'll talk about Bleach, because I like Bleach, and the new chapter came out, and that kind of started that, and yeah, here we are over a decade later.
Safe to say it worked out.
Yeah, you know.
And it worked out. I did all right. Okay.
So then why did you turn to One Piece then as the next choice after Bleach was kind of finished up? What drew you to One Piece?
Yeah, Bleach ended in a very abrupt way. I basically woke up one morning, checked the new chapter, and it was like, yeah, 6 more chapters, then it's done. And I'm like, oh, that does not give you a lot of warning that the whole thing you based your career off of is going to be going away soon.
Yeah.
Like, just imagine you go into your job and you're like, hey, how you doing? 6 weeks. You're out of here. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. I mean, heartbreak for people that love Bleach in general. And then,
then you have the ending wasn't great. No.
And then you have a career based on it. That's like, oh, that's gotta be scary.
I thought they would give me a little more time than that, honestly. I assume, because people had asked me, like, what are you going to do when Bleach ends? I'm like, Naruto got like 3 months of warning before their last chapter. I'm like, Bleach was like a month, and I'm like, what? So immediately after Bleach ended, I jumped on My Hero Academia. I started talking about that for a few months, and it just wasn't the same kind of vibe. I like that series, but just going off of the final arc of Bleach, it just wasn't the same kind of thing. So I was like, all right, well, this isn't working, and I'm kind of losing subscribers here. So, like, what do I want to talk about that I really enjoy? And One Piece came to mind, and I'm like, all right, we'll just do that. And I started making a couple of videos about it, and they kind of took off. I made a video about the Warlords, like a whole series about them. And then when 2017 started, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start reviewing the chapters. And that's when I started doing that. And, yeah, then that just took off really good, and that's going to be here till the end.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's literally how I found your YouTube channel, is the Warlord series. Because
yeah.
I was that was right about when I was like binge watching One Piece. Mm-hmm. And I'm the type of person that goes like hard. When I'm into something, it's like, it's probably unhealthy, but like it becomes an obsession for that little brief moment of time. And I just need to know everything. So
yep, that's like with me. I got to look at the wiki and I got to read everything and catch up on all of it.
So yeah, that's exactly what I did.
It's my job for my sense, but like at the end of the day, I really do genuinely love the story.
Well, yeah, and so I was looking up lore videos, and then that's how I stumbled across you. And then that's basically where all my One Piece education comes from for all of the viewers.
Thank you.
Initially comes from. What I liked about your videos personally, and I don't know if this is the same for everyone, because I know everyone kind of everyone likes something different, but I really enjoyed just the like natural conversation you kind of had with the audience, where you're just in your room, sometimes fooling around, just having a good time, just talking about something that you can clearly tell that you're passionate about. And also, I liked how I didn't have to rely on seeing something. I liked how, honestly, I would just go to bed sometimes listening to a playlist of your videos.
That is not unusual. I have gotten a lot of messages over the years that were like, you're just like a friend in my room talking to me about One Piece or whatever. And I listen to you while falling asleep, which I like, if you ask my friends in real life, like how they're insane. Like, I'm like, I know, I don't get it either. But people do. And it's just like, hey, sometimes you just need noise.
Yeah,
in the back
exactly.
of your head, right?
Exactly. Why not educate myself on One Piece while I'm falling asleep?
Exactly.
I guess so.
What are some recommendations you would make to someone new to the world of anime? We've been asking this for a couple of our guests that are into anime, and they all have different suggestions.
Yeah, I've been asked that before, definitely, and I try to avoid recommending anything that's too daunting. I don't recommend One Piece to, like, you've never watched anime before. Oh, start with this 1,100 episode series. I also try not to pick anything too. I mean, it depends on the person. Are they like, a 50-year-old man, versus, someone that's more like my age that's asking for the recommendation or something. I'll usually go with something that's more, maybe not, it's anime, so not completely grounded in reality, but something more easy to grasp, kind of like Death Note. Because like Naruto is a whole new universe with ninjas and magic and chakra and everything.
Yep.
Death Note's a very simple premise. What happens if somebody in our world got the power to kill anybody with a notebook? It's like very quick, to the point. There's supernatural elements, but you get it. Not a very long anime either. So I would start with something like that. Yeah.
Yep. I think you just.
Yeah, it's pretty much what
That's what we
do.
said.
Yeah, we could recommend as well as Death Note.
It's really great. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, that's a being more relatable in terms of reality. I think that's a good one. We also said it's getting longer now, but Demon Slayer in terms of just the concept is not bad. They're slaying demons.
The series that my uncle kind of got into anime from, because my uncle's like in his early 60s and he started getting an anime relatively recently, and that's one of the ones he was watching. He's watched more of it than I have, actually. I'm not huge into Demon Slayer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, Death Note, that's perfect. I mean, that's basically what we recommend to our users.
Yeah.
It usually goes about, like, I will ask, like, are you into, what genres of movies do you like?
Yeah, for sure.
Science fiction, action, and then I'll try to find something that's like, this is like 12 episodes, and it's basically the genre you already like, so here's your gateway for that.
So then do you shy away from recommending, like, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, for example? Because I feel like that's a big one that everyone like tries their best to recommend.
Yeah. That would be fine. I think that would be okay. The characters in that are very likable, very immersive series. It's not that long. I think Brotherhood's only like 60-something episodes, which compared to like One Piece or something, or even long-running American television shows, they could be well over 100 episodes. And they're only half an hour each. So it's like, yeah, that would be fine too. I'd also recommend that.
All right, moving on. Guess we can talk about content creation. So sometimes, I guess, as I've followed your YouTube channel, sometimes you have series where obviously you're just going through the series, like a Warlords, for example. You're just going through all the Warlords. So how do you decide what topic you're going to kind of discuss next, whether it's a series or just in general? Is it just you just read a chapter and then something just clicks and you're like, you know what, I want to go deeper into that? Or is it just, do you have kind of a list going on where you're like, I'm going to talk about those things in the future?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have like a written down list, but like, and this is kind of slowed down for me because I've been talking about One Piece now for 7 years, like pretty much, and I've kind of tackled all the major stuff in that series, but that's how long it took me, because it's like, got to make a video about the Yonko at some point, make a video on all those, got to make a video on each of the Straw Hats at some point, and I tackled all that stuff at the beginning. So I don't really do any like new series now until there's like some other faction in One Piece that's really revealed that we didn't know about. When I remember one day I was just driving to work, and it had been a few years since Bleach had ended at that point, and I was like, you know what? It's been a couple years now. I want to make a video on all the Zanpakuto from Bleach, and I went home and I started the first one of that, and that's like a whole new series that did that. The My Hero Academia series did really well. So, doing a series is fun because then you could have like chained continuity in between each episode, and you get people excited for the next one and all that stuff. I would love to do, and there's some have been failures too. Like I started one last year, which was what would happen if each of the Straw Hats died. And I got 2 episodes into that where I was like, this is depressing. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
One Piece wasn't depressing enough.
Yeah, it was like, what if Zoro died? What if Nami died? And I'm like, I can't do this 8 more times. I'm just, yeah. So, but yeah, when it comes to videos, usually it'll be based off of the most recent chapter and like, okay, what questions got brought up there, and I'll address that, and I'll make a little list for that stuff. But yeah. A lot of times I just sit down and like, what am I talking about today? Oh, that character? Okay, we'll do something about that.
So do you do any scripting or anything, or is it just off the cuff? You have maybe some bullet notes?
Yeah, it's bullet points for the most part. I do not script. In fact, I have scripted 2 videos my entire life. One was way back in 2012. It was a Blue Exorcist video, amongst all things. It's not even out anymore. I deleted it years ago. But I just recently did a video where I scripted something. That is very unusual. And all the comments on the video were like, a scripted Tekking video. Oh no. And I'm like, yeah, I'm scared too, man. I don't know what this means for the end of days. It was a video where I had to go through every single thing in One Piece, like what pirates are, what marines are, what devil fruits are, and try to be as quick and concise as possible. So I had to script it. But other than that, everything else is unscripted.
That's great.
Yeah. Just my style of I could just sit down and blab about one particular topic for 40 minutes. It's my superpower.
I mean, we have a podcast, man.
That's
yeah, I mean, yeah.
dabble, you know.
It's sometimes some
We
of
don't
our
know what we're talking about until,
our friends will be like,
push
"How do you
the
guys
record
decide what you're
button."
talking about?" And we're like, "Honestly, Matt sometimes sits down, and I'm like, we'll just go by ear."
Yeah, just throw out a topic and go. Like cooking. We were on a tear about cooking a little while ago. We could keep doing with that. I mean,
that's how one of our episodes came to be. We literally opened up a beer and we had this whole idea for this whole episode planned out, and then took some of this beer. We were talking about the flavors of the beer, and that just turned into a full cooking based episode. Like it happens, you know.
Oh man, that happened with me one time where somebody suggested a podcast on anything random, and it was like soup, and I'm like, you know what, I could do that, and I made thumbnails for it. Never did it, but I'm like, oh man, we could try different kinds of soup every episode. Man, that's the perfect idea for a podcast. Yeah,
that's true. You could cover all the different bases. You can start with all chicken broth based ones, and move to beef, some cream. Yeah, that's a good.
I still might do it at some point. Who knows? That might be on the horizon after One Piece ends. I become a soup guy.
That's just the world ending if One Piece is ending.
It's true.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. Yeah, I'm ready for it if One Piece ends. Yeah.
So I gotta know personally, because I come from a film background. What have you learned through your time making content on YouTube? Like, what would be like the biggest lesson you've learned, kind of thing like that, or?
Yeah, just like learn how to edit good, like get good at editing. And you know, my stuff's not really intensive, so there was a while there where I was trying to figure out my style. Like, oh, do I want really crazy, flashy special effects? And I did that a couple of times, but I just wasn't that great at it. And I realized if there was one lesson, I'd say probably like less is more. Like maybe like with my stuff, I prioritize speed and output a lot more. Like, 'cause I'm putting out videos, like sometimes I've slowed down a bit, but at certain points it was like 6 or 7 a week, just straight through. Sometimes 8 days, just like straight videos, and just like, you know, film it, edit it, get it done, throw the images in there, and just throw it out there on the internet. And that worked, and it still continues to work. So it's like, that's that. But it might not be your style. It might be somebody else's style to like sit and plan and edit and script and, you know, work this all out. But that's just what works for me personally. The other thing is know how to do like the business back end of YouTube, like running your own business, because I have to like file under my own business and stuff, and taxes and everything. I didn't know anything about that shit when I started YouTube.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah, when you start making real money and the IRS is like, okay, now we care. It's like, okay, I need to know how this stuff works, because I don't. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I mean, so this leads into our next question, which is how, well, I kind of want to ask 2 questions at the same time here, which is one, how did your family react to going to full time on YouTube? And the other one is, before that, how was it like balancing? Because obviously you were in college and then you also had a job at the dollar store, I believe, right?
Dollar Tree, yep.
So how is it balancing those 3 things, like the YouTube? And I'm assuming you still tried to hang out with friends and social life as well.
That was the busiest time of my life for sure. Like, you know, work, college, and YouTube. I remember one day in particular where I got home from work at like 1 p.m, and I had like an essay to write for school the next day, and the new Bleach chapter was out, so I had to review that. I remember like from the time I like pulled into my driveway to the time I was in front of the camera being like, hey guys, Bleach review, that was like 3 minutes. I would just like run into the house, throw off all my work clothes, get on, you know, my suit and tie, and just start reviewing, and just get to it, and then having to do my homework and stuff after. And I'm glad those days are done, but I'm a little nostalgic for them at the same time. You know, it's just like, man, I was, you know, making the effort back in the day. I was really pushing it.
Yeah, a machine.
I was also a lot more tired. I was also a lot more tired back then too. But yeah, the way my family reacted to it, like, I remember right out of high school when I started doing YouTube, like anime stuff. You know, I wasn't really making any money off of it yet, and I wasn't. That's like maybe a couple hundred subscribers. And my mom and me got into kind of an argument because she's like, well, I was going to college anyway. I was going to a community college. But she's like, what do you want to do for a living? And I'm like, this. I want to do YouTube. And she's like, you and she was, she was from like, the 60s and stuff. That's when she grew up. So I understand she doesn't know anything about YouTube. And I'm like, no, I can do this. I know I can. She's like, you can't make money off the internet. And I'm like, I love you, Mom, but you're wrong on this. I know you're wrong on this. I could do this. And I got a job, like a normal job at Dollar Tree, and did my college work and everything. And then when I started making more money, my mom was like, yeah, keep doing that. That works. You should keep doing that. And I'm like, yeah. My dad was kind of like the same way, just a little bit more maybe chill about it, where my dad was like, well, just make sure you know what you're doing, and do you think you could keep doing that the rest of your life and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could. And yeah. So it's just a difference in like generational gaps there, because
sure.
my dad was born in 58, my mom was born in 62. They had no reference for YouTube in their teenage years or anything like that.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any advice for like other people who are interested in getting in content creation on YouTube or in social media in general?
Yeah, I would say now is like the best time to do it, because now like the groundwork has been laid on like exactly what genres are really popular. Like gaming is really big. Might be harder to break into that because so many people do gaming now, and there's Twitch and everything. But if you make it work, I mean, that's a real viable strategy there. Getting the equipment that you need, like HD webcams, HD cameras, and like good quality microphones and stuff. Getting that stuff back in like the late 2000s might not have been impossible, but like way more expensive. And now you can get that stuff in like any big box retailer. I was in Walmart the other day and they had like Blue Yetis and snowballs.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well.
I'm like, yeah, not back when I was in high school. They didn't have that crap. You know what I mean? So they're kind of catering to like content creation as a job, as a career. Try to stay consistent with a schedule, because algorithms really love schedules and they love consistency. That's a problem for me because I'm not great at setting schedules. But if you can keep it like videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's your schedule and that's what you do, and you keep it regular, then you'll get pushed a lot further. Absolutely.
Now, do you ever feel burnt out with the constant content creation?
You know what? Like, it's only happened to me in a, like, if I'm doing like 8 videos in a row, like every single day, I start to feel a little buggy after that. And ever since I bought my house, because now it's like, all right, I have a lot more stuff to do. I'm taking care of a place on my own now, and like everything. I'll dial back the videos a bit. So now it's maybe like, it used to be like 5 a week. Now it's like maybe 3 or maybe 4 a week, something like that. I'll throw a live stream in there too somewhere.
Okay.
And you got to prioritize like mental health over anything,
of course,
because you don't want to get burnt out, you don't want to get exhausted, and most certainly you don't want to turn to hate the thing that you are making, because that's the worst thing that could happen. Because then it's like, I don't even want to do this anymore, and then that's your job at that point.
Then you got a normal job.
And then you got to get a normal 9 to 5, and nobody wants to go back.
Then
to that.
everyone hates those.
So, yeah, those aren't fun. So, in recent years, it's fine talking about One Piece, and it helps that I've already liked One Piece, like even before I did YouTube. Thankfully, it was not a situation where I started talking about One Piece and I started to hate it over the years or anything. That does not happen to me, thankfully. And I'm in this, and all the fans are also really supportive and stuff. I have a really nice audience, and they're excited to see what I have to say about the chapter as much as I am, and it's just a really positive environment overall on my channel.
Awesome.
All right. Do you create any goals for the year, or do you have any goals for this year that you're hoping to achieve, or maybe some videos or live streams that you want to have released?
Yeah, every year I'll have like a basic. Well, first of all, I want to do more like break consistent, like with the previous year. Like, this is how many subscribers I gained. This is the revenue that was earned. I try to like keep it on the same relative level. It's a little less. It's not that big of a deal. Every year I always try to implement something new to the channel. Like this year, I've been doing a lot more tier list videos and streams, like ranking stuff. Also doing like tournament brackets. Like we did a tournament with the Straw Hats, and like if they were to compete in different sports and things. And I'm like, I like doing those kind of live streams because they're more interactive with the chat and everything like that. And so it's like, all right, this will be the year that I do tier list content, and next year maybe I'll get a TikTok or whatever. I don't know.
That's cool.
But I don't have a set schedule or anything, and if I'm doing something and it's not working out, then I'm like, all right, this isn't working. I'll pull the plug on this and do something else.
Speaking of something that did work, so Connor's obviously been a fan of yours for longer than I have, and he was the one that
Thank you.
introduced me to you through YouTube a couple years back, and it had to do with Barry.
Yes. Barry the Brick.
So I gotta know, how did you get the first idea for Barry, you know, and like, where does that come
Oh,
from?
you know the story? The story. Okay. Barry was a rescue. I found him abandoned on a porch of one of my neighbor's houses. No, okay. So if I remember this story correctly, okay. So doing a Bleach review one day, and I was trying to think of like a joke to make about the chapter, like, oh, this chapter was, you know, this character did something so stupid, I want to like hit myself in the face with a brick or something. I don't know. So I needed a brick, and my neighbor's house, it was like no one had lived there for like 2 years, and there was a pile of bricks there, so I need a brick, and I just go over and I grabbed a brick and I brought it over. And I called it the suicide brick in the chapter review. I'm just like, this is the suicide brick, and people in the chat were like, suicide brick, and I'm like, all right, that's a running gag, I guess. So I did that for a few years doing Bleach, and I kept the brick in my room. It was just always sitting there. And then skip ahead like 5 years. We're doing One Piece now. It's like 2019. And I was looking for an intro segment for a video. I'm always looking for, you know, wacky ways to start everything. And I went downstairs and I just saw this brick laying there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that was the freaking suicide brick from the Bleach reviews. And I'm like, I'll just put some googly eyes and a weird face on it. And he exploded. It was crazy how fast he exploded. Like, everybody was just like, Barry, yeah, keep him around. And I'm like, okay. And that was 5 years now in July. He's been on the channel.
That's
and
crazy.
like, people are like, he has tailored clothing. I don't even have personally tailored clothing, you know?
Yeah, that's wild.
This hat was from, somebody sent me a Luffy figure, and it was like, had this hat on it, and it's like the perfect fit for him. And like, yeah, the wings, because in One Piece there's a group called the Bjerkins or the Brickens, and it's like, that's where that comes, and there's Skypians and stuff like that. And yeah, that's the story of Barry.
Yeah, I was just double checking. Yeah, it was the armament hockey video where you actually see you put the googly eyes and draw the face in the video.
Drawing the mouth on it during the video. It's like, yep, that was the birth of Barry right there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that you were not expecting to have a tailored suit on a brick at this point in your YouTube career.
But having his own plushie
thanks to Maggie, she lives in New Zealand, and she's the one that sends me those. And I have a bunch of them. He has like a bunch of he has a whole wardrobe. He just never wears it.
The brick with the wardrobe.
Yeah, he does. The only brick in the world that has a wardrobe. I guarantee it.
Yeah. I just think it's
we sold the plushies.
Yep,
and those
I
did
saw
really
those.
well, and it's like, okay.
The people want them. You give it to them.
People want them. We need. Yep, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Yep.
The mascot, the official mascot of Tekking101, a brick.
Is a brick. Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't know.
I know. And it's like, I remember when I first started, like, Barry started getting really big, people in the chat would talk about it and be like, I remember Barry back from the Bleach days. He was the suicide brick. And you know, that was back in like 2014. I was like 22 and 21 actually. And you know, now like older, I'm like, yeah, that joke was kind of, you know, you meet people in life that have dealt with like suicide and stuff, and it's like, oh shit, this isn't funny anymore. You've actually dealt with it. And yeah, so it's like, okay, I'm glad Barry was able to repurpose himself in that regard.
He's reimaged himself.
Yeah.
Good job, Barry.
Good job, Barry. You saved America.
All right. So I guess we can do some more, a little bit more unscripted questions, if we will. I did have one friend that I told him that we were going to be interviewing you. So this question is pretty loaded, actually, in its simplicity, which is his one question for Tekking101 is, what is the One Piece?
Oh, you know what? There's a lot of theories on YouTube, and I'm friends with a lot of people that have come up with some crazy good theories about this. And I think it's just going to be a bottle of wine.
A bottle of wine.
And it's going to be, or a bottle of sake, and it's going to be Bink sake.
There you go.
I've seen that theory. That's a good one. There's a good theory basically that revolves around the song Bink Sake, essentially, because Oda wrote that song. That's not like a song that exists, and like it's coded in that song somewhere is like the secret of like One Piece. That would be a cool idea if that was it. I think the best way to find out about what the One Piece is like Oda reveals slowly, piece by piece, like things to, you when we get close to it, you can kind of fit it together. It's not just like a big shocker that without leading to it. Because if you don't have any lead up to it, then it's like, okay, like it has to be something like that. Kind of like the Void Century. We're going to find out breadcrumbs about it until leading up to the final flashback of it,
Yeah, like work towards it, yeah.
Yeah. Oda's definitely said in an interview, it's not going to be nothing. It's not going to be like the journey was the real treasure, because I think he would get murdered if that was the actual. Like there'd be an angry mob
there definitely
outside
would
his
be
house.
I think it would still be both ways. I think there would be people that would be like, you know what? If there was ever a series where you'd be like, you know what? I'm totally okay with that. I love the crew. I love the adventure we went on.
Here's the thing. If it was the friends we made along the way was the treasure, Luffy would be fine with that.
That's
would
true.
Be perfectly okay for him and his crew. But like Oda's like, no, they're gonna get a physical reward for doing all
There's
this
treasure.
shit. And it's like, yeah, there's gonna be. I think part of it, this isn't all of it. Part of it is just Roger's giant treasure hoard that he had. And Nami's just going to have, like, she's going to go like Scrooge McDuck and dive into the pile of money and just, yay! It's like, that'll be a small part of it, but it'll be more than that, obviously. Yeah.
Okay, what are some of your favorite series that are either serializing in manga or favorite anime that are recently airing or seasons that are still ongoing?
Like right now, the thing I read every week on Shonen Jump is obviously One Piece, but also My Hero Academia, which is in its final arc too. Undead Unluck, which just had its anime first season end. That was really good. Mashal manga ended, but season 2 just is. I don't know if it's going on or if it just finished, but season 2.
Yeah, I think it was just last season. Yeah.
Yeah, just last season. So that's really good one. Akane Banashi, which is a more slice of life manga about Rakugo. That'll probably get an anime soon because that's really good. There's a slice of life anime I just started watching. It's an anime called Hokkaido Gals Are Super Adorable.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like the title alone. I'm like, all right, it's just about a kid that moves to Hokkaido, and it's like kind of a harem anime kind of thing, but like it's very wholesome, and I'm like, I like this. This is
Sometimes
cute.
you just need something to make you smile.
Yeah, honestly, it's just a very wholesome kind of anime. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm up to right now. Yeah.
See, I don't know how you generally feel about My Hero overall recently. Because I read it weekly as well, so I'm curious about your kind of...
Yeah, if you want to talk about My Hero, we could do that, absolutely.
I know, I don't know,
like,
Connor,
are you okay
fully
with like
caught up?
spoilers or anything? Or
Yeah, I'm not completely caught up, but it's totally okay.
I'll keep it like non.
I don't
like okay.
I love My Hero Academia, but part of me feels like the final arc we've been on, especially like the final kind of battle sequence that's been going on, has felt a bit dragged. So
to that, I would argue Horikoshi has like taken a lot of breaks, and some chapters will come out, like
That's
especially during the Toga fight with like Uraraka. A lot of people complained about that on a week to week. Like we waited 2 weeks and it's only 12 pages or something.
Yeah.
Like I feel like once everything's in the Tankobon format and you read it again, I feel like that'll flow a lot better at that point.
That's definitely a fair point.
Yeah, and when the anime comes out and everything's like that. Some of the decisions that have been made on exactly like in the most recent chapters, honestly, Matt, if you know what I'm talking about, it's like, especially the tension from 2 chapters ago that like what happened at the last chapter and what person's quirk kind of fixed everything.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I see where that was going. I knew that was going to happen. Kind of pointless ultimately, but like, all right, okay.
It's kind of too predictable.
Here. Yeah, I kind of saw that happening when you introduced a character like that has that power. It's like, what's going to happen? Yeah. I feel like I'm talking in code right now.
No,
but
exactly.
It's like,
Well, like personally, I feel like it's like one every 4 chapters gets me excited for the next week.
Yeah.
And then the next 2 chapters are kind of like meh. And then it's like the next chapter is like, all right, we're back into this. Let's make something epic. And then
it's one of those series where it's like, given the fact that we know Deku is the one narrating it, so it's like, okay, we know he survives this. We know he becomes a great hero and everything like that. It's just how he gets there. And so I'm looking at this from a direction of like, okay, there's a way Horikoshi could spin this that isn't predictable, that I could see it, or he could make it just super simple of what's happening with Tomura and his relation with All for One and everything like that. Or we could take it a completely different direction, and I hope he does that, but we'll see what happens. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just spoiled because every time I read a One Piece chapter, I'm just like, holy crap. Oda.
Yep.
Oda, he just doesn't miss. And I feel like the past year and a half, there has been times while reading weekly, obviously, that, there's a chapter, more of a setup chapter. You feel like, it's a little bit more chill. But the past year and a half to 2 years straight, it feels like he just can't miss. It's just every chapter I'm just like, okay, I have to read it again.
It feels like after Wano, he really hit the ground running, and he's like, okay, final saga time. Like, we're not messing around anymore.
Not
Here we
holding
go.
back at
It's
all.
like perfect for me. 'Cause
Here's
that's exactly...
Garp do it. You want Garp doing some stuff? Okay. You want Blackbeard versus Law? Okay. Let's just rock and roll with this because we're going to go to Elbaf? Okay, we're doing it.
Kid get wrecked by Shanks? Check.
Yep, check. You want to see Shanks do some cool stuff? I can work that in there for you. It's like, yep.
Yeah, I feel spoiled because sometimes when I read other series, it's unfair to compare all these series together because every writer has their own style as well. They're setting up their own. I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen also kind of had a streak of some pretty crazy chapters one after another, and then My Hero, I'm just like, it's like you're right though. I'm maybe 4 or 5 chapters behind, and I'm just like. I just kind of read them all at once, and then they feel a lot better that way.
That's the way, because that's the way ultimately, in the tankobon format, how they're supposed to be read, And it's like, dude, being a mangaka is hard. It's exhausting, and if you're dealing with family issues or if you're dealing with sickness, and it's like, no, you got to get it done, and it's sometimes you can only do 12 chapters, and people get mad at you for it. I mean, 12 pages to a chapter or something, and people get mad at you for it. Oda, for the first time in ever, had a chapter not too long ago that was unfinished. It was one of the chapters with Kuma in the flashback, and he apologized to everybody. Is like, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to get this all finished, and it was cleaned up in the tankobon. But dude, it's understandable. You work really hard for this stuff.
Yeah, we have a friend group that we watch a couple three episodes of an anime we choose. It's like a little bit of an anime club, if you will. Where
neat. Yeah.
We just get together on Discord just because we all live in different cities now, some of them a little further away. So it's just a way to keep watching anime and enjoy something together. We're actually watching Bakuman right now.
Okay.
So to get some perspective, it's actually perfect for some people who don't understand not saying it's exactly like that, but I think it gives a pretty cool insight into what it might be like to be a mangaka.
It's dialed up because it's an entertainment. It's in and of itself a manga.
Of course.
But it gives you an idea. In fact, I never really read that all the way through. I should go back and read it again because it's the same people that did Death Note.
Yep.
And I think I would really enjoy it if I picked it up now.
Yeah. It's definitely certain things I think are avoided, the topic of, some. Actually, to be fair, depression's definitely covered in in that series as well. So it does a pretty good job, I think. That it does. It's not as glamorous as some of the West, I think, sees it as.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people go based off of comics, which is also a very hard thing to do. But when you look at a team for comics, because that's something we talk about as well on the podcast, is they got people doing all the coloring. There's obviously the artist, a writer. There's someone who's doing the cover page, someone else doing the cover page. It's such a massive team in comparison to a mangaka, which sometimes is one guy with some of his assistants. And every week, they're putting
every
out.
single week. Got to keep going. Got to keep making stuff. It's and you put it out, and people complain about it, and it's like, this sucks. It's just like, man, that's got to hurt when you do all that. You know what I mean? It's just like, I keep doing it. What do I do? I don't know, man.
Yeah, for their livelihood, it's definitely
for
wild.
their livelihood, yeah.
So I guess we like to call them fandoms here, which we did have a brief discussion outside of anime and manga, but obviously you've been doing some Baldur's Gate streams.
Yes.
How have you been enjoying the Baldur's Gate? Obviously, you said you're a D&D RPG fan, so I'm assuming you must be really enjoying the game.
I love that game. I've played it. The Let's Play I'm doing right now on the channel will be the 4th time I've played it. And it's a great game because, 4 times playing it, I still am finding stuff that, I didn't even know this quest existed. This NPC has a whole thing I didn't know about. It's just such a massive game. There's no way you could. The first time I played it, I missed so much. It's just so funny looking back on it now.
Yeah, I can relate. Me and my friend, we did a playthrough together, and we skipped half of Act 1 on accident.
Yeah, you can, and you know what? It's the kind of game where you could do that. It's the kind of game where I killed Lazelle in the first time I played it.
Yeah, there you go.
When she was trapped, I just like, I don't want to deal with her shit today, and I just killed her. And she just wasn't in the rest of her game. Her whole quest is just locked out, and you can't bring her back.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the thing. You can't. No going back.
Yeah, you can't use Revivify on her. Withers won't bring her back. She's just gone. Her stuff is done. And it's like, okay, if you go evil and like kill the Grove, like will leave, and Gale's like, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm out of here, and he's just gone. And it's just that game has balls.
Yeah,
man.
it's very unique
your
that way.
Decisions matter, like.
Yeah, we I forget where it was. I believe it's like on the bridge where there's the dragon that shows up.
Yeah,
and
the GIF. Yeah,
and we were nowhere near leveled enough to be at that point, and we were like, what do we do? And I remember I think we may have had an invisibility potion or something, and we jumped onto the other side of the bridge behind the dragon and passed the check, and we just went to Act 2. And we're like, then we learned, and we're like, oh, you can't go back. Well, we're committed now.
The game is nice at certain points where it'll be like, you should really be higher level to be here, but we're not going to stop you if you don't want to,
You got to be creative.
The first time playing it, went through I picked up Halcyon, and then we went through all of Act 2, didn't even solve the Shadow Curse, because my brain was so like trained on the way RPGs work that like, oh, the Shadow Curse, that's going to be like a game required thing. Like you're going to have to do that by the time you leave Act 2. You leave Act 2 and Shadowheart's like, wow, sucks we didn't do anything about the Shadow Curse, huh? And it's like, oh, I was supposed to do something about that? And then Halcyon just stays behind. He's just gone. He leaves. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. So,
yeah. It's definitely it feels a very unique feeling game. It's not... And hard in its own way.
Yeah.
Hard in its own way, like difficulty-wise.
I mean, the difficulty settings are like, I tried to do honor mode like tactician when I was playing it, and I died in the second fight. And I was like, oh, well, that's it. That campaign's over. That was simple.
Yeah, my friend and his wife play the tactician mode together. I think they're on their like second or third playthrough, so they upped it. It's pretty wild.
Out of all, because I don't usually go super hardcore with games, but like this might be a game where after I've played it enough times, I will try just like, okay, full tactician honor mode, let's do this. Like I think I could actually pull it off. Yeah.
Matt, you have any other questions you want to ask?
No, I mean, actually, I'm kind of curious about your D&D campaign.
Like the
you
one
mentioned that
okay.
at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about that a bit. It's a homebrew thing I made. It's actually way back when I was 15 years old. I was bored one day because I lived in a tiny little mountain village and there was nothing to do. So I took a piece of poster board and just drew a map, like a fantasy map, because you're 15 and it's like you like reading like Harry Potter and shit. And like, so I drew a map and I had that. I'm like, cool. And then cut to 14 years later, it's COVID and there's nothing to do. And so I'm doing One Piece D&D with Rustage, and he's using this website called Incarnate, which is like makes you draw maps. And I'm like, ooh, that's really cool. So I dug out my old map and I made my own little world and stuff, and I called it Terrain. And I'm like, oh, cool. And I've been playing that with my friends for like the past year now.
Oh,
and it's
sick.
It's doing good, yeah. I have like a big binder and everything for it. I'm ready to go with it, man. I'm excited.
That's great.
A lot
awesome.
of One Piece tropes in it. A lot of One Piece tropes in it because it's like that's what D&D is at the end of the day. You take stuff from properties you like.
Exactly.
And just throw it in there.
That's what makes it more fun for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not doing that, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, I think one thing we always like to say, Matt's been running a Power Ranger RPG with his friends. Is as long as everyone's having fun, that's what matters. I
would always love to be in a Power Ranger one. How's it? Is it going good?
It's going really, yeah. So like Hasbro came out with their own D20 based system about a year and a half ago now, and they have Power Ranger, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and My Little Pony. So really random ones, but I started with a Power Ranger one.
I want to do the My Little Pony one. That would be awesome.
They're all cross compatible too, which is priceless.
That's perfect.
So, but yeah, create a whole its own system and everything like that. They call it the Essence 20 system, and we've done 23 sessions now. It's complete homebrew. It's my first time ever being like a DM GM, and I slight regret doing a homebrew at the beginning, but now I'm just so far in it.
Now you're loving it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's been pretty fun. Like I grew up watching Power Rangers, so it's really just like the nostalgia for me, and it's amazing.
What was your favorite season?
Ooh, probably
I know,
Dino Thunder.
It's a loaded question. I know. Yeah, Dino Thunder's good.
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of like Mighty Morphin originally, and then when they brought back Tommy like 10 years later, I was like, this is great.
I was born in '93 when Power Rangers
Oh,
started.
yeah, 90,
so
yeah.
I was like a baby, so I would not have I didn't start watching it until halfway through In Space.
Nice.
And then the first season I got all the way through was Lost Galaxy, and
Great
I loved
season.
Lost Galaxy. Great season, and the Pink Ranger just straight up dies in that
Which
at
is
one point, and
insane.
it's like, yeah, which is crazy that they had balls back in.
Yeah,
the
I know
day.
they did.
And and it's like the villains were pretty good and everything like that. And I watched from everything up until I think Ninja Storm was the last one I watched. Then Dino Thunder was next, and I saw Tommy coming back,
Yeah.
but I wasn't as attached to Tommy because I didn't watch Mighty Morphin that
That's
much.
fair,
'Cause I was. But got back into it a few years later, and I've seen the RPGs and stuff of it out, and I was like, man, that'd be cool to run a Power Ranger campaign every now and then.
It's pretty fun, honestly. Like, we're having a grand old time. Like, we don't hold back, like, full-on homebrew and stuff like that. So they were on, like, random alien planets. Like, I've had Zordon pop up, Alpha 5 references, like, the whole shebang.
And it's you doing Power Rangers, so you don't have to keep it G-rated. You could do.
Oh,
like,
you
other
have
stuff.
no idea.
Yeah.
One of my Rangers
I take
full-on
out the
died.
blaster and I just shoot him in the head. It's
That literally
like, okay,
happened.
There you go.
That-
Yeah,
like, it
why
was
wouldn't
crazy.
it? You
Like,
have a fucking laser sword. just cut off their head. It's like, yeah.
it's chaos, and it's great.
Yeah. I in my game room, I actually have an homage to Power Rangers because I'm like, all right, I need to get a table and then I get chairs for everybody to play, and and I have like this nice pool table which works great for a gaming table, and then like I'm looking at these office chairs, and you could get them for just all in black, and I'm like, that's fine. But then they had colored versions of every chair, like multiple
nice.
colors, and I'm like, all right, they're like $20 extra each for the special color, but I have a red one, a blue one, a black, green, and then yellow and pink. And it's
Nice.
like, yeah, that's my gaming setup.
That's
and
perfect.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Matt's one player. He paints Pokemon minis in Power Ranger colors.
That's perfect. Yep.
It's like
I'll do it.
every week there's a new set that
Well,
he's
yeah. Well,
showing
like,
me.
recently, like, the most recent
That's
session
a
was
good
crazy.
idea to do the Monster of the Week thing. Just repaint Pokemon. There you go.
No, it's perfect. It works. So he gets like a pack of like 50 or 60 for like $20, and like knockoff style Pokemon minis. Just repaints
Yeah.
them. There's a whole like the monster manual. It's called Finster's Cookbook, and it's
Okay.
just like 80 different monsters from all different seasons, and he's just going crazy painting them. And then the most recent session, they went to like a weird like fighting planet. There was a huge Coliseum fight, mix of like. Got inspired with like One Piece and then Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Like I really wanted like just like a full on like Record of Ragnarok kind of style session. But so we painted a bunch of minis, but instead of them being Monsters of the Week from Power Rangers, they were different like 90s and early 2000s like toy lines.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
full on,
Oh
there
my
was
God,
one
that would be
fighting.
fucking
What's
great.
that?
That would be great.
It was
just to
priceless.
reference everything.
Oh yeah, there was an Optimus Prime, there was a Blue Eyes White Dragon, there was a He-Man, a Thundercat, Hello Kitty. There was Play-Doh, which was like a muck that was just repainted to just look disgusting. Trying to think of the other ones. We had Garfield and Chuck E. Cheese was like the announcers for the fights and everything.
Oh my
like,
God, I could see this as a Power Rangers episode too.
That's the thing. Like, it made
this
sense.
Is great. Yeah, I could see Optimus Prime and Garfield showing up at Power Rangers.
Yeah, just you know, as crazy as it is, you know. And then we had the big guy who like was ruling the entire planet was Captain Planet himself. So we tied that in. It was I think they're fighting a My Little Pony at one point too. There was like 12 different like toy lines that we end up using. So
Oh my God, that's a perfect idea for that. Yeah.
we have the turtles like TMNT's coming in the next couple
Oh yeah,
sessions.
yeah. They actually showed up in Power.
Oh yeah,
Rangers
and that
at one
really
point.
weird
They
in
showed up
space
in
episode.
space at one point.
Yeah.
That weird show where it was live action turtle show, and they had a female turtle
Venus.
named Venus because Venus de Milo, and it's like, wow, yeah, I never saw that show, but I saw the Power Rangers crossover.
Yeah, well that show lasted I think one season. It was TMNT
it's
The
about
Next
right.
Mutation. It was bad.
The Next Mutation.
Yeah.
It was probably.
And then
bad,
Venus
yeah.
was never heard of even in comics or anything like that until like last month.
That's literally the only place she showed up. You know.
She's in the comics now. Like a couple months back, she
Oh,
got
okay.
fully introduced. But yeah,
That's funny.
just gone off the face of the earth for 20 years.
Oh my God. Yeah, my one of my friends couldn't make it last week, so we played Catan. You ever played?
Oh,
Catan
yeah.
before?
I've been getting
It's
into
a great board
I've
game.
been getting into Catan recently. Yeah.
It's so fun, and you know what? My friends got me into it years ago, and I never won a game. And this is a different group of friends, my D&D group, and they wanted to play it. And it was the first time I actually won after like 3 years of playing Catan, and I was just like, yes.
It was worth it. All that suffering.
It was, all the learning. Well, I did went to a different strategy this time. I said I'm going to try to build a city up as quick as possible. I would usually try to go for longest road.
Good strategy.
It's a strategy game, man.
Good strategy.
Yeah.
I won on my third game, so I can't relate.
Show off.
No, I just suck.
I can't relate, but I won 2 games in a row, the third and fourth game, because the first game we played online. There's like an online version of Catan that does a pretty good job. Pretty good job of all the rules. And I remember my friend was like, "Hey, do you want me to explain all the rules to you?" And I was like, "No, I just want to play and learn the hard way." And I did so bad the first game, but by the third time we played, I got a win. Obviously sometimes there's some luck, obviously, but regardless, I won, and I won the fourth game, and I was like, you know what? I think I could retire now from this game. But it's a super fun game to play with friends for sure.
I feel like after I went online and tried to play it and got destroyed, I was like, okay, I'm good with this. I don't need to play online anymore on this game. I think it's fine.
Reminds me of StarCraft 2. I tried to play StarCraft 2 online one time, and I was like, nope, okay. This is an offline with friends only game.
No matter how good you think you are, fighting games especially.
Oh, that's another one.
You know, if you think you're good at Mortal Kombat, you're not.
Yep.
You know,
plain and simple.
you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually fair. The Dragon Ball Fighters, I remember playing that.
I was just gonna bring up Fighters. I was
having a blast, just me and my one friend, but we were only facing each other, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready.
Let's do it.
I think I'm ready.
You think you're ready for the big leads, Rocky Balboa? You think you're ready for this? Yeah.
Hop on and just get wrecked, and I was like, you know what?
Just like boom, boom, like 99 hit combo. You're just dead.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever gonna be ready.
Get good, scrub.
Pretty much.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, fighting games are crazy.
Yeah, what were we talking about the other night? We were talking about Halo the other night, and I never got into Halo. Apparently, it's still a really big community and stuff, but like I never got into it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're never. I can't speak for Matt, but
no,
we had.
Not Halo.
This family was a Nintendo family for the longest time, so there was definitely no Halo. I think PlayStation 3 may have been our first non-Nintendo console. So we just basically played Pokemon.
That was me. I mean, like, GameCube and the Wii. Got a Xbox 360 and got into Modern Warfare. So I was more of a Call of Duty kid in high school, if anything. We played that with my friends.
Yeah, PlayStation 3, I got Modern Warfare 2, and that's actually the first time I started posting YouTube videos way back in the day, like, you know, when FaZe was still making COD videos and stuff. That was like what got me inspired. But yeah,
early YouTube was great.
Oh, it was a different beast, but some of it's so nostalgic looking back for sure.
Yeah, sometimes I'll go back and watch really old school stuff and just be like, wow, 420, and like the aspect ratio was 4:3, and it was like microphone that's like super really distorted, but like, you know what, there was a charm to that, you know.
There's like the core memory that's unlocked when you see the old video player, the old YouTube video player, or the way that you used to be able to like dress up your YouTube profile with like all the people that had like stuff going down the side.
That was really fun to do. Remember MySpace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember MySpace. I think that just
MySpace was great.
I think that just ages all of us by saying that.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was the first time I remember seeing. I remember the first ever YouTube videos I ever saw. Because we had dial-up internet in my house until I was like 2008 or so. So I went down my friend Nick's one night, and he had internet, and he was like, check out YouTube. And it was like probably like early 2007. And he showed me the Gummy Bear song.
Nice.
And the internet is for porn. It was like a music video that had World of Warcraft characters in it.
Yes.
Like, yeah. And I was just like, that was my introduction to YouTube. And I'm like, now I make it my job. And so there it is.
It's come so far.
Thanks, Nick, for showing me that.
Yeah, I think I remember like Fred videos was something.
Fred.
Fred Figglehorn. Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a big one for when I was
Shane
younger.
Dawson. Everybody had that haircut.
Oh,
the Shane Dawson haircut.
Yep.
And that was the haircut.
That or the Anthony, the Smosh haircut, like the emo.
Anthony, same kind of
yeah,
idea.
Like that emo
long
swipe.
emo hair. It was the emo cut. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's it's relatable. We're all in the same '90s kid vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in 93. When were you guys?
94, yeah.
97.
94, okay. 97, okay, yeah, there you go.
Matt's just the baby.
Just the baby.
Yeah, he's the baby. You'll be 30 soon, don't worry.
Yeah.
But yeah. I feel like it's a great place. Great time to grow up, 90s. We still had, still went outside.
Said it there. We still went outside.
We still went outside.
Had 4 kids.
It was a few few interesting years before 9/11 happened. You know, it was fine.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Then
yeah,
9/11 happened.
Yeah.
that's a
shit.
pretty world changing. We're obviously we're up in Canada, so the
You're in Canada. Okay.
so the impact for us was
I still have memories of
very
that
much.
day, though.
I do too. Everybody
we
does.
got pulled out of class and.
You did. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Teacher
the biggest
was
impact
Do
for
you
us.
live next to it? Do you live close to a major city though?
Buffalo.
Well,
Kind of.
yeah,
Okay.
we live.
so,
yeah, we live in Niagara Falls, so it's a bordering city with. with
all right.
with,
yeah,
with,
yeah.
with the
I've
states.
been there once. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I've been multiple times.
There-
We used to work down
we
there.
used to work right down there, right by the falls.
I was on Maid of the Mist.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Yeah,
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
You were a
Got
tourist.
Very wet. Yeah, I was a tourist. Yes, for one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. I was in 3rd grade and I got pulled out of school because I live in Pennsylvania and one of the planes went down in, actually, it's a place called Shanksville, which every time I say that, it's just one piece. I'm
Shanksville.
like, yeah, I get it. I get it. Shanksville. Yeah. Well, it went down in Somerset County. I lived the county north of that, Cambria County. So it was kind of like really close to where we were. So I remember I got home and my mom was there and she was like, I don't want you watching the news today. And I'm like 8. So I'm like, okay, can I play PlayStation? And she's like, oh yeah, go ahead. So I went upstairs to play PlayStation and she made me chicken nuggets. And that's all I remember about 9/11.
Don't watch the news.
Don't watch the news. Okay, Mom, I'd be all right.
That was
I'll
part
be
of my
okay.
regular
I don't know.
programming.
Yeah. Like as like an 8-year-old, I'd even understand what the was going on. I didn't even know what the Twin Towers were because I'd never been to New York at that
yeah,
point.
I feel like that's
knew
relatable. Yeah, we didn't.
Empire State Building and Statue of Liberty. That's all I knew that was in New York City at that point. And I didn't even know what like a terrorist was. And it was like, okay, well.
Yeah. Young enough to remember, but not old enough to
How about
truly feel how impactful that and scary it could be.
How impactful it was. Thinking back on it now, I remember just how everything became like super America after that, like in those years following it. Like that Lee Greenwood song, like Proud to Be in America, that was playing nonstop for like 3 years. Like that stuff I remember. Yeah.
That's pretty epic. Yeah, the American pride, that's
strong.
Yep.
I mean, we can still
Got 'em.
we
Yep.
can still see
Yep.
we
Salute that flag.
We still notice it up here. I mean, we're very close.
Yeah. You have a way better flag than us, by the way. Just the maple leaf. Oh God, it's beautiful.
It's clean. It's very clean.
Very clean flag. Very awesome flag. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're personally speaking, like I enjoy hockey. I mean, okay, that sounds like the most Canadian thing.
Yeah, more Canadian.
I have a friend that lives in Toronto, and he also likes hockey. So
not
there
doing
you go.
not doing Canadians very proud by that stereotype, but I'm actually a Buffalo Sabres fan, so we go to the States to
Okay,
watch games
yeah.
pretty often. And you know what? I like America. My girlfriend actually goes to school.
Well, that's good. That's all right. Yeah, that's fine.
My girlfriend goes to school in the States, so it's
it's funny you brought that up, like stereotypical Canadian stuff. That anime I'm watching, that Hokkaido gals are super adorable thing, and it takes place in Hokkaido, which is the island north of Japan. In the English dub, they give everybody Canadian accents, and I'm like,
Oh, no.
okay, that's actually great. Like
yeah.
to replace the Hokkaido accent.
I haven't met anyone with a
Priceless.
real Canadian accent, but that's because Niagara, like
When
our Southern Ontario
very-
is so Americanized, like because we're so
Yeah.
close, so it's like
when I would imagine Niagara Falls especially
Yeah.
is like mostly tourists and people that are like you're in Canada, but it's it's on the border.
Yeah, we're
so
right
it's
next.
a little different. When we went up there, I was like 6. This was before 9/11, so we could just kind of walk across.
yeah.
My parents went around and just added A at the end of it. It's like, how you doing, A? And I'm like, first of all, you're probably talking to just other American tourists or other tourists from other parts of the world. So you're probably not even talking to someone that lives in Canada. And even if they do, it's Niagara Falls. We're not like in like Montreal or Quebec or something.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
not. Yeah, not in Manitoba.
Yeah, you're not in Manitoba.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, I mean,
It's pretty common.
it's pretty common.
A is common. Okay, all
it's-
right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to admit some of those things that they are. It is pretty common.
Around here, it's Western PA. We have a word called yins, which is just the version of y'all. Like in the South, you might hear y'all.
That's
We have
interesting.
Yins, and
Never heard that before.
it's an older generational thing because my parents have used it occasionally. I've never used it other than when I'm like explaining it to people, like I just did with you. But yeah, I just never got into using that word. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I
I don't know. I
just
don't know
is.
the origin of Canadians.
Language is great, isn't it? You could just see where everything popped in.
It just is.
It
is what it is.
It just is. Yeah.
It is part of it, and it. You know what? It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But yeah, I guess we're going on almost an hour.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
I think it has been a very informative podcast. I'm gonna be honest.
I think it was great. I mean, I talk very fast, so I nailed through a lot of those questions pretty quickly, and then we could just talk about
Yeah, just basically shoot the
Canada.
shit after.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. Fun with me. I'm
yeah,
fine with
I
that,
mean, maybe you never know. In the future, maybe we have you on and we had to do a full One Piece breakdown.
I'd be all right with doing that. I'd be welcome back on. Thank you so much.
I think the people would love it.
Definitely.
We definitely have a lot of One Piece, and we've had people that we've started watching and or reading One Piece. We often recommend reading it. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's.
I don't think you guys should read. You have to be special in a club to read One Piece. You know what I mean? You have to pay your dues. It's like, no, One Piece, great story. Just understand it's a long, long story.
Totally worth it.
I usually recommend read up to Arlong Park at the end of the East Blue, and if you're not feeling it at that point, you're probably not going to like it. And I'm okay. If you don't like One Piece, it's okay. It's all right to say it's not a series for me. It's
not for everyone.
It's not objectively the most amazing thing in the world, and if you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. It's just not for everyone.
That's what we'll say on the outside, but on the inside.
Yeah.
Actually, one more question then related to One Piece before we exit is everyone talks about how they have their eureka moment for One Piece, where they're like, that was the moment where I was like, I'm hooked. So I'm curious to what moment for you when you were either watching it or when you started reading it, what that moment may have been.
Probably the eureka moment was, so I watched the 4Kids dub when I was a kid, and I didn't hate it, but at the same time, I probably processed it like this is a children's cartoon, because it is a lot goofier in the 4Kids dub. They give everybody goofy accents, they censor a lot of stuff out, and so then I'm like, all right, so I grow up, I go to high school, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of done with that. And then I was in Walmart one day with my dad, probably like 16 years old, and they had the Funimation dub of the 8th movie, which was the retelling of the Alabasta arc. And I'm like, I remember One Piece. I'll pick this up. And this was with the whole new voice cast. So they got rid of like the Sanji accent and the lollipop. He had a cigarette. They called them devil fruits. There was blood. Nami's boobs were all over the place. And maybe it was because I was 16 at the time, but I was just like, I like this now. I think I'm going to start reading this
Something
again.
registers.
Yeah, something clicked with that. It's like, yeah. Then I started reading the manga. It was at the Impel Down arc at this point. And that was a great start because like Impel Down leads into Marineford, leads into that time skip. And like epic. That year was like a peak One Piece, right? Yeah, absolutely. So that's really what got me into it on the tear that I'm on now. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I think that's pretty unique. Kind of eureka moment.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah. My brother has his story because my brother is actually the one who got me into watching anime, and it was like a way for us to kind of, when he was away at school and we would watch some anime together. So just a way to bond. And then he's always like recommending obviously different shows. And when we started watching One Piece, he started watching it because he watched Avatar: The Last Airbender at some point, and
I love that
loved
too.
it.
Yeah.
And then he talked about how there was a website that was like onepiece.com or something where you could watch
watchop.com.
Yeah, it was like the first whatever
like
100 episodes or something where you watch because he remembered the pirate show from 4Kids. And he's like, you wonder what that's like. And now here we are now, 1,100 episodes of One Piece. But my eureka moment is the I think when I started watching was the Mihawk versus Zoro, the first fight. And
that was way back at the Baratier.
Yeah.
So like that would have been in the 4Kids dub, but it was probably like I don't remember that being as iconic later than seeing it like in the official dub. Yeah,
this was like I may have been like 17, 18, 19 maybe. So somewhere like where like I'm just watching this and I'm just absorbing everything now. I'm not like a kid anymore. So that was definitely my moment where it gave me the goosebumps where I was like, okay, this is pretty epic.
That's also a really good one too. Yeah, like with after the Baratier, then Arlong Park. I mean, that pretty much gives you an idea of how Oda writes his story.
For sure.
And yeah. Matt, I have a question for you before we go.
Yeah.
Those box sets behind you. I can see Naruto. Is the middle one? What is that middle one?
That's
Claymore.
Claymore.
I thought it was Claymore. I love Claymore. Yeah.
I just finished reading Claymore myself. What, 2-3 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, 2 months ago.
I've read like the 3 volumes of that, and I loved it, and I got away from it. I got to get back into it again. But I've seen that box set before because I wanted to buy it. And I'm like, is that Claymore back there?
Yeah.
Wedged between Naruto. It's just like, yeah.
It's because the other Naruto box set is
It's a sideways.
it's a horizontal box
Yeah,
set
they
where,
changed the
where
size, yeah.
the box set 1 and 3 are verticals.
Mhm.
Way to keep things consistent.
I remember those ones though, because I remember being in high school seeing those box sets and wanting to buy them, and like the idea of spending like $200 on manga was
Oh,
like
it's crazy.
absurd back then.
Yeah.
It was just like, there's no way I could afford this.
It is still crazy to think that you're spending that much on just a bunch of comics.
That is true now, yeah. But I could get away with that because I'm like, this is my job. It's okay, right?
It's
yeah,
research.
Sure. I have a giant shelf back here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All my Vinland Saga manga, all my hardcovers and everything. Yeah.
Vinland Saga got a reprint of
I love Vinland Saga. Yeah.
it got a reprint of like a nicer looking, kind of like the Berserk
The
ones.
hardcovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just finished Berserk. I read that for the first time last year. And my campaign in D&D is what I'm basing a lot of stuff from Vinland Saga on right now. So
Oh, sick.
it's great.
It's
Yeah.
a fantastic story. Matt likes Vikings, so I've been telling him to, he has to
Yeah, I
get
gotta
into
get
Vinland
through it.
Saga, but he hasn't gotten into it yet.
I'm doing a thing where they're like they started the campaign off and they're colonizing an island, and I was like, all right, so we could play with this and see how they treat that. They treated the natives very kindly. I'm surprised. I was just like, all right, are you just gonna murder everybody, or what are you gonna do with this, or
Not historically accurate, but nice.
Incorrect.
yeah.
That's awesome. All right,
Okay.
but yeah, we'll reach out. Well, hopefully we can have you on again. We can have a full One Piece conversation. I don't think it'll be very hard considering your videos go like 40 minutes on their own. So I'm sure
You grab me, give me a one topic about One Piece, and I'll just go for an hour. So you just break it up, ask me whatever question you want, and I'll give you an answer.
I think we'll jump to our Discord, see if any of them have any questions for you in regards to One Piece that they have. And then, yeah, we would love to have you on again. It's been,
Guys, I would love to be on again. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And yeah, guys,
Yep.
don't forget to check us out on all our socials. The link tree will be in this description below. And honestly, thanks for listening. 2 years. Hopefully we'll go for
Don't
another
forget to
2 years.
check out Tekking101 as well.
Yeah, check out Tekking101.
Yeah, I have YouTube and I have Twitter, and just that's fine. Twitch too. So just look
Yeah.
at just Google Tekking101. You'll find me.
We'll put them in the description if you can't use Google. It'll be there. But thanks and goodbye.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast. Don't forget to join the island by dropping a follow. Thank you, and see you next week.